Hello, history explorers. This is the first episode of lesser-known corners of our shared past that journeyed off the beaten path of your standard history textbooks. Did you know this? Cleopatra was not Egyptian. She was actually of Greek origin and the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. Cleopatra VII Philopator, more commonly known as Cleopatra, is one of the most recognized historical figures from the ancient world. Her allure, intelligence, political acumen, and association with prominent Romans like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony have turned her into a symbol of seduction and power. However, a common misconception regarding Cleopatra is that she was Egyptian, stemming perhaps from her position as the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. In reality, Cleopatra was of Greek origin, a descendant of Ptolemy I Soter, a general of Alexander the Great. In this episode, I will endeavor to elaborate on Cleopatra's Greek ancestry and her role as a Hellenistic ruler of Egypt. The Ptolemaic dynasty was founded by Ptolemy I Soter in the aftermath of the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BC. As Alexander's empire fractured, Ptolemy, originally a Macedonian Greek, seized control of Egypt. He began a dynasty that would rule Egypt for nearly 3 centuries, significantly longer than any other dynastic rule in the Hellenistic period. The Ptolemies, despite ruling over Egypt, were culturally Greek. They adhered to Greek customs, language, and traditions, and intermarried within their family, keeping their bloodline Macedonian Greek, which remained unadulterated by Egyptian intermarriage. Cleopatra VII was the last monarch of this Greek dynasty. Born in 69 BC to Ptolemy XII, she was educated in the traditional Hellenistic manner, with her education covering subjects such as politics, rhetoric, science, philosophy, and languages. Remarkably, she was the first of the Ptolemies to learn the Egyptian language, an indicator of her political astuteness. Despite her Greek heritage, Cleopatra was aware that her power rested on the acceptance of her Egyptian subjects, which her predecessors often neglected. Although Cleopatra was culturally Greek, she embraced many aspects of Egyptian culture. She was depicted as an Egyptian pharaoh in statues and reliefs, and often took part in Egyptian religious rituals. This allowed her to present herself as a traditional Egyptian monarch, fostering goodwill among her subjects, who, after several generations of Greek rule, saw in her a ruler who respected their customs and traditions. The Ptolemaic Kingdom was Hellenistic, meaning it was heavily influenced by Greek language, culture, and thought. The dynasty's seat of power, Alexandria, was a Greek city, replete with Greek architecture, a large Greek population, and institutions like the famous Library of Alexandria that epitomized Greek intellectual life. Despite ruling over a predominantly Egyptian population, Greek was the official language of the court and administration. Cleopatra herself was a product of this Hellenistic culture. Fluent in Greek, she was knowledgeable about Greek literature, philosophy, and science. She ruled Egypt from a Greek-style palace, surrounded by Greek advisors. Yet she diverged from her predecessors by embracing elements of Egyptian culture. Cleopatra's actions could be seen as a form of cultural diplomacy, building bridges between the Hellenistic ruling class and the Egyptian population. Understanding Cleopatra's Greek heritage is critical for a correct interpretation of her life and rule. The common depiction of Cleopatra as an Egyptian queen reflects a partial view of her identity. While she ruled over Egypt and embraced its customs to a certain extent, she was fundamentally Greek in lineage, language, and culture. The misconception about Cleopatra's ethnicity also reflects broader misunderstandings about the nature of the Hellenistic world, where Greek and non-Greek cultures interacted and influenced each other. As a Hellenistic ruler, Cleopatra straddled both worlds. She was a Greek monarch who respected and adopted elements of Egyptian culture, facilitating her rule over a foreign population. This dichotomy also underscores the historical complexity of identity. Ethnicity and identity were not static or monolithic, but influenced by a myriad of factors, including political expediency, personal choice, cultural interaction, and historical circumstances. Cleopatra, a Greek woman ruling over Egypt, exemplified this dynamism. The last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty, Cleopatra personified the complexity of identity in the Hellenistic period. She was a Greek queen who navigated the political landscape by integrating aspects of Egyptian culture into her rule, earning her the acceptance and respect of her subjects. While she left an indelible mark on Egyptian history, Her roots remained firmly Greek, reflecting the multicultural nature of the Hellenistic era. Hence, understanding Cleopatra's Greek origins allows us to appreciate the subtleties of her rule, her persona, and the dynamic era she lived in all its cultural richness and historical complexity.